Okay guys, James Vandenberg here down in my hunting room dungeon, and we're going to do a quick video on 4 fletching arrows using the Bitzenburger jig. This is something more and more people are going to now. It's becoming more and more common, and this is just going to be a quick tutorial video about some do's and don'ts when you're trying to 4 fletch arrows on your Bitzenburger. So without any further ado, let's look at what we're going to need to get this done. We're going to need our Bitzenburger jig, some super glue, fletchings, a can of acetone, Q-tips, and lots of paper towels. Okay guys, first step, and one you shouldn't forget, is going to be cleaning your arrow. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our acetone here, a little paper towel, just dip the paper towel in the acetone so we got a nice little spot here. Then we're going to take the end of our arrow and we're just going to grease it with this acetone. This is going to get any extra residue off this arrow. We're going to let it dry so we have a perfect surface for that super glue to stick to. Guys, now that we got our arrow clean, we need to make sure our jig's ready to go. So if you look here, this Bitzenburger has 4 settings. It has a 120, which would be a regular 3 fletch, a 90, which is 90, 90, 90, 90 for a 4 fletch, and then a 75, 105 for a 4 fletch. So you'd have 2 closer together and 2 further apart. For this demo and how I shoot on 90 degrees. So 4 fletchings equally spaced apart. So what you're going to do is you're going to back out the screw on the 75, 105 and back out the screw on the 120, and you're going to push the screw all the way in for the 90, 90, 90. Then what you're going to do is you're going to check it, and you can see in there, okay, so our arrow's that way, so we should have 4 clicks. If I can turn it here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Back to the start. So you can tell there we got it set right on 90-90. That part's good to go now. The next thing we're going to have you pay attention to now, we got an arrow in here, but what I want you to notice is we want to try to index these arrows as close as possible. It's just going to give us the best chance of shooting as consistent as possible. So you can see on these victories, or you can't quite see, but they have a line that shows where their hardest spine is, or the most consistent spine is. So it's right here on the top. So what I like to do is I like to get it in there, which now I knocked it out. And I like to, on every arrow, I start fletching with that line running right down the top side of the arrow. It doesn't have to be a line. Maybe it's the logo facing towards you. Maybe it's the logo facing right down the chute here. Try to put these arrows on and spin that nock so it's consistent, so we can get as much of a consistency on our cock feather as possible. Okay, time for a dry run now. So I run my fletching here on this 3rd tick mark. You can see there's little tick marks right here along. I run them on the 3rd tick mark is where I start my fletching. And, oh, I dropped it. Okay, we're flushing here. You can see that's flushing the jig. Now what we're gonna do is, I've already got this set up, but we're gonna pop it on there with no super glue, push it down, and we're gonna make sure here, we're gonna make sure that this is flush along the arrow. We're gonna look on both sides. This is flush. If this isn't flush, there's little knobs here in the back that you can loosen, adjust to make sure this is flush on the arrow. But we wanna make sure that this is putting our helical on there, or our offset, I guess, in this situation. We don't want it so offset where it's not grabbing onto the arrow. We want it offset, but we do want all 4 corners of that fletching to be on the arrow. So make the adjustments, make sure this is flush on the arrow before you do your live run with glue. Okay, now we've checked our arrow. We're gonna go ahead and put super glue on here. Everybody will tell you just a little dab down the middle. I mean, you do not need very much. We're gonna go hot, go ahead. Clamp that back on, make sure she's tight, and we're going to give it about 30 seconds here. Okay, 30 seconds is about up here. Oh, I'll adjust that just a little more so you can see this. We're going to pop off the clip, take one of our Q-tips that we brought, we're going to rotate our arrow 1 rotation, clean off this backside if there's any excess. There's not very much excess on this one. After you've done a couple, you'll know exactly how much glue you can get away with and how much you can't. That one looks good to go. We're going to reload it and do 3 more here. And then there we go, guys. We got ourselves a perfectly 4-fletched arrow. I got a little excess on that last one. I'll clean that off. Now I'm going to show you one more thing. This is something that John Dudley, the Knocked On TV guy, does, and I'll tell you, it really helps. But he calls it tipping and tailing. Basically what we're going to do is we're going to put a little dot of glue on the tip of each feather, vein, and a tip on the top of each vein. So this used to bother me because it made it look not as clean, but now that I've done it, this will secure those veins on there for a long, long time. They will not come off unless you shoot them off. So there you go, guys. It takes about 2.5 minutes to do an arrow when I'm not doing a video. 4 fletching on a Bitzenburger. Let me know what you think. Good luck.